To Business Live, just by way of recap, economic growth for 2019 has been estimated at 6.5%, with the services sector contributing the largest. Let's have a conversation around this. Joining me is economist with Data Bank, Courage Boti. Courage, great to have you tonight. A marginal increase from 2018, with the services sector contributing the highest. Any surprises in there?
Not at all. Good evening to your listeners. I wouldn't say there are surprises. If anything at all, the 6.5 out of 10 is a few basis points lower than what government projected from beginning of the year. I think that was 6.8% they expected for 2019. But we've seen events along the year and led to several revisions, even from the IMF, that expected something lower than. I think it started from a 7.1% projection and revised downward to the 6.8 we talk about, and ultimately we are ending at 6.5. Given the circumstances of lower crude oil prices on the market, and then we've had several issues of negative sentiments towards emerging market that actually affected performance, of course, of the GSE and all those other places. It just epitomizes the overall performance of the economy. I think what rather interests me, or what I found kind of enticing, is the fact that the financial sector is out of recession. They've been in recession for the last 2 years, I think 2017 and 2018. But this year, the financial sector, a subset of the services sector, is growing at around some 1.7%. That I found interesting, and I also realized that the information and communication services sector also grew quite significantly, 46.5% growth in 2019, as against 13.1% growth in the previous year. Now that tells you all of the digitization agenda we seem to be promoting, things happening at the port, things happening at the state agencies, DVLA and all of that, plus the fintech revolution and how it's taking over the financial markets. I think it's playing a big role. And we saw also that Vodafone rolled out their 4G package, I think somewhere last year, when they bought the fiber from the NCA. And so all of those probably may have added to the digital revolution that recently saw quite a significant jump. In that. I think the surprise is agriculture.
Yes, I was going to make that point, because we saw a decline in agric, which was showing promise the previous year. And so what do you attribute to that?
Well, the data shows there is a contraction in the forestry and logging sector, a contraction of 1.7%. The growth rate, let's put it in context, 4.6% growth in agriculture as compared to 4.8 last year isn't really bad. If you put it into the statistics of it, because the agriculture sector had expanded from a 2.2% in 2016 to 7.2 in 2017 and to 5.8, of course, as the base gets larger, you expect that the rate of growth will slow down. If you look at it from that angle, you will not say 4.6% growth is that bad. But I think that, of course, cocoa prices are quite firmer than they have been in the past, and cocoa kind of dominates. Cocoa and the crop sector in general kind of dominate that sector, but productivity hasn't been that great. I mean, from when we attempted to hit 1 million tons, metric tons a year, now it's largely around the 900 plus, and then we have been around that level. Given that prices have recovered so much, I mean, you wouldn't expect so much growth. And given that the base is also expanding, planting for food and job is giving us productivity gains. But what are the prices also on the market? The increased production in food, we are told, is leading to lower prices of food on the market. So if you look at those dynamics, yes, 4.6% is significant, but it's a shortfall from what we saw last year. And I think it can be understandable in that light, that the base effect may be affecting growth in the agri sector.
Okay.
But also, agri sector has so much slack, so with the appropriate investments, we should sustain growth in that sector. And, and that investment, probably what they've done with planting for food and job has yielded certain growth, but we need more investment in that sector to even scale it up.
So that leads me to my next point about what your projections will be, because we are also having to deal with a different kind of situation in 2020, which has got to do with the coronavirus pandemic. We're already seeing what it's doing to the oil market. What do you think would be the impact on our projections for this year?
Well, it's a difficult year, not only for Ghana, but of course for countries all across the globe. And then the reason is simple. With these lockdowns, with productivity losses, companies closing down and all of that, you do not expect so much growth. And so from our earlier growth projection, the Ministry of Finance is really looking at something lesser than what the other institutions are looking at, I think 1.5% in the worst case scenario. And that is even just a preliminary analysis. I think the thing that will work for Ghana and for most other countries, unlike in 2017 and 2018 when the financial crisis hit, was that the response is quite early and then significant. Now we are seeing that just in the heat, even as the issues are evolving, we are seeing stimulus packages from the government. We seeing monetary stimulus from the central banks all across, to the tune that we're getting about some 11.3 billion injection into the economy as a way of stimulating economic activity. I think these are the things that will invariably ameliorate the impact of the COVID on economic performance. Things will slow, no doubt. 1.5 from the Ministry of Finance position. I think our forecast places somewhere around 2%. For the year, and I've seen a few other agencies also place it around that level.
Okay, Courage. Let's quickly move on to the conversation to do with Fitch. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but let's talk about Fitch's ratings, or what we wouldn't say ratings, but it affirming creditworthiness at B. I'm asking you about this because just 2 days ago, Moody's released its review where it moved us from positive to a negative. How do you reconcile these two reviews?
Great. So we had the conversation, and I think your question to me was what Moody's did. Is it fair? Is it a fair rating?
Yeah.
And I found difficulty giving an answer, and I said, well, I can understand what they did, but I am not happy about it. And I think what Fitch is putting out today is the exact reason I am not happy about. So we all understand that, yes, COVID will bring difficulties. We understand COVID will bring financial consequences, and then it has consequences for our debt position, our ability to service those debts, and then, of course, our fiscals. No doubt about that. And we think that while those negatives are there, Ghana has also made some progress in recent years that are rating positives. I mean, for instance, the fiscal responsibility laws were passed, and then the financial management adjustments we've made, and the legal regimes we have to guide public financial administration are supposed to anchor the process going forward. And we see also that the Bank of Ghana has actually has gain more independence now, to the point that the monetary policy administration is becoming more and more effective by the day. Okay. The reason we have successfully curtailed inflation. We've seen our external accounts, even though still very fragile, improving. Right. So we thought that while the negatives are there, the best thing, of course, the outlook is not positive.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time, Courage. Thanks very much. As always, very insightful speaking to you, Courage Bottie, economist there. The conversation continues.